His computer's moving a little slow. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slim and Shona Show. And of course, it's called Our Take on It. And of course, we come with how we feel about different things. But since we are approaching the Thanksgiving holiday and the Thanksgiving Day, we thought we'd do something about gratitude and giving thanks or something like that, and talk a little bit. Um, and we have a special guest with us. We have Shona, of course, one of the hosts of the show. And we have another special guest, one of our classmates from 1972. I see Northern Greyhound, Sherry Brown Parker. And just like I always mention Shona's maiden name, so people will remember, Sherry Brown, and she has it up there. Okay, Sherry Brown Parker. How you doing, Sherry? Thanks for
I'm
joining us.
doing great. I appreciate the invitation.
And of
Hi,
course, you're no
Sheriff.
stranger. You're no
Shona.
stranger to what we do.
Nope, nope. I do watch you often, so
Yes, and you've been here. You've been on the show a couple of times. You've been on the radio program. You and Ray came up there
right
and we talked about our
early
Northam
in
days, and that was years ago. But anyway, thanks for being here. And before we get started, it almost played before we got started, but I'll play this a little bit.
I am grateful for my journey. I am grateful for the people, experiences, and lessons in my life. I am grateful for my body. I am grateful for my unique talents. I am grateful for the abundance that surrounds me. I am grateful for the simple beauty of this moment. I am grateful for every experience. I am grateful to be me. I am grateful for this day. I am grateful for my...
Okay, that repeats. Yeah, so that kind of sums it up and lets us know that what this show is all about. And I just wanted to say one thing before, we were talking about, as you get older, some of us, you kind of lose your hair and you become bald, and I'm so grateful. At first, I was worried about losing my hair, but I'm so grateful that uh, losing my hair didn't cause me to look like this.
we're all grateful that that's the case.
That could have been me. So I'm grateful that I didn't end up looking like a cowardly lion. But anyway, ladies, just wanted to start it off. And one other thing I'm grateful about, since we have greyhounds up here, my first year I went to I.C. Norcom, and I'm sorry, I went to Woodrow Wilson because they had freedom of choice. And the next year came up, the city school system zoned everybody that lived in Truxton to I.C. Norcom. So we didn't have a choice, So I'm grateful that they did that and I got a chance to go to Norcom because I might have stayed at Wilson. I'm not sure. I don't know if I would have switched because I originally went to Wilson just to see what what an integrated school was like because all my life, like you all, I'd gone to black schools from elementary all the way up to W. Waters, Sherry. And so, yeah, Sherry went to Waters as well. We were trying to avoid Clark and got out the Waters, and they were shooting people out there too. So anyway, I'm grateful that that happened because I might not have had the opportunity to be a 3-year Greyhound. So that's one thing, and there's a lot of other things. But ladies, go ahead. I'll let you, uh, Shona. You can start off, is there anything you want to start off with and about being grateful and thankful for these times, especially during these times?
Yes, I am oh so grateful just for having made it this far because we have seen so many fellow classmates fall by the wayside for one reason or another. And that didn't just start happening. People seem to be passing away at very young ages with some conditions that back in our day would have been thought of as something that old people would have been afflicted with. So I'm really grateful just to be here, first of all. Um, I'd like to say, James, I am grateful to you for giving me this opportunity because I'm really enjoying it. It's funny how life happens, how we reconnected, and things have just progressed forward ever since that moment. And I'm grateful for that. Um, I really hope it's successful for the long haul because for me, it's fun. I find it interesting, and I feel like in some ways the way that we connected, it just unfolded my testimony.
Yeah.
Podcast is my testimony. It gives me an opportunity um, to show why I am who I am, because it allows me to express all of the, well, not all, but a lot of what I've been through, and to actually show my personality. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for um, my children. I'm grateful for my family. I'm really grateful for being able to say that I am a great grandmother. A lot of people don't get to experience that. I know my time with my grandparents was very short before they were gone. I have I have my sixth great grandchild due any day now, and I
Wow.
am very proud of that. Yes, she is doing. I have three great grandsons, and I have two great granddaughters, and this will be my third great granddaughter. So it will be three and three, and I'm very very grateful for that. Um, I can't say I would have planned it the way that it has gone, but it's a blessing. It really is a blessing. Um, Even though I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, I'm grateful to have always landed on my feet. It didn't have to go that way. So I'm truly grateful to God.
Yes,
What,
indeed.
what about you, Sherry?
Well, first of all, Shona, let me just say I had no idea you were a great grandmother. I would have never uh, just guessed that from looking at you. So let me just say, as a great grandmother, you are looking wonderful and great.
Thank
So,
you, Sherry.
so you should be grateful for that. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna go real quickly though. James was talking about being bald. So I'm gonna be grateful for, like I was saying previously, having my son who could cut my hair before I got it. So some of us that keep our hair long like it was, Miss Great Grandmother Shona, and I'm gonna let that go now. And she still has her hair nice and long.
It's all mine.
Anyway, I guess
That's
maybe
a
I
blessing.
lazy or whatever. And I'm grateful now that I can go get it cut off and I don't have to mess with it at all. But one of the things on a more serious note that I'm grateful for is to have friends that have been able to be maintained throughout our entire lives. Because we started, I mean, what, elementary school, I think, Slim, and
Yeah, you've been to some of my birthday parties.
oh yeah, yeah. I've looked at some of those old pictures, and so to have friends that expand your, that go through the expanse of your entire life is a real blessing and something to be grateful for. So for the three of us to be here and to have all gone to school together, and now we're, grandparents, great grandparents, but we're still able to maintain a friendship. And on that note, also, I'd like to just make mention of our other classmate, Doris Lewis Edmonds. So Doris and I were best friends in high school. Well,
Your stick buddy.
first grade, and
I remember that.
even before that, I always talk about how we went from first grade to our first year of college in all of the same classes. But recently, Doris has
Were
been.
you in 12-1?
Yes, I think I was.
See, Shona?
But she's been recently experiencing some health issues, some health
Mhm.
challenges. And I was able, I guess it's been probably almost a month ago now that I went up to Richmond to MCV and spent several days with her having some, heart issues taken care of. And I can say that she was able to successfully go home. And I talked to her a few days ago, and she's doing well. Her big thing now is she's feeling so much better. She has to make herself not do as much as she would like to do.
Mhm.
But
That's
I did want to
great.
mention it because she had asked before that if I spoke with any of our classmates, that I would ask you all to please keep her in your prayers. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I want to do that just to just kind of remember her in your prayers because she talks about the class all the time. We talk about that a lot. And we even had the doctors up at the hospital that got to the point they knew our story. And she and I were just, we were just hanging out in the hospital and taking care of things. But she is doing better. But again, I just ask for her prayers for her continued health or improvement. But again, that's something that's very important when you can have that kind of friendship to go through your whole life. Because my husband is from Florida, and he just marvels at the fact that I have friends here that I've known since first grade. So
Me
that's
too.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's a real blessing and something that we have to really be thankful for. And Shona, you named all the other things, your family. Thankful for my church family. Just for everything. And I think it's important for us to take time to think about what we're grateful for. Again, especially in this time, because if you don't, you can get depressed really, really quickly. Quickly, you can get cynical and
Mhm.
angry, and all of that. And so, it's important for us to think about what we are thankful for.
Yeah, and Sherry, I'll bring this up, and most of the time we are thankful for during this time. Most people are happy and joyful to be around family, and you being in social services before, you know, for some people these holiday times is not the best time
It's difficult, right?
because either for a lot of reasons, either you lost someone during that time or you had some issues that weren't pleasant during that time, and when this time comes around, it just brings that back to you.
Hmm.
So, and those people, I don't know what would you say for some of those people that go through those situations, depression, and some people don't realize they're depressed, and it's something you really should address if you feel down like that because it could turn into something much deeper. And we talked about this once before in the Black community. It's a stigma about getting help
Right.
for mental issues, and you don't have to have a mental issue per se to seek help from a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's just a matter of taking care of yourself. If you do it physically, you can do it mentally as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people are in those situations, one of the worst things you can do is to isolate yourself.
Okay,
You know, that's a
especially
time
this time of the year.
yeah, that's a time when, and it might be difficult because may not feel up to getting out and up to being with people and whatever. But, I would suggest to anybody who's feeling like that to just at least think of one person that you might be able to call, but just
Mm.
one person to connect with, just somebody to connect with other than being by yourself. Because, when you're by yourself, that depression just gets to be overwhelming. And it's easy to say, but I know it's hard for people to do that. And a lot of times I think we don't realize how holidays trigger a lot of people in a negative way. Um, I'm going to say this, and there was a time for me, and this is being working with social services, where I actually felt like I was a Grinch at Christmas,
Mm.
because Christmas for me, work wise, was not a real pleasant thing. Everybody was festive, and everybody's ready to be giving, and they got the what is it, the Christmas tree that they have, where they have people take names from the Christmas to give out Christmas gifts and that kind of thing. Well, I worked at social services and I worked in foster care. So while everybody's being very festive, I was in that group of a little group of people at work where we had to make sure that probably around 250 kids had a good Christmas. So now you think about that. I'm here and I have my own children. I haven't shopped for them yet, but we are really working hard making sure that about between 200 and 250 kids have Christmas gifts for Christmas. Then not only that, we had children that were still coming into foster care. So we wouldn't know what children were going to be there for Christmas, what children were going to go home. And at one Christmas, like 2 days before Christmas, we had 5 or 6 kids that came into foster care. My heart is breaking for them just because they're having to come into foster care at Christmas. But now we have to provide Christmas for them by Christmas Day. So it was a very stressful time for me personally, trying to work and get all of this done. And we were going to the churches where they were having this big Christmas thing, and they were bringing all the gifts, and we had to sit there and we were thankful that they did that. But we're sitting there, and all I'm thinking is, we got to go back to work. We got to distribute gifts. But, I don't know how Santa Claus does it, but we got to deliver gifts for 250 kids. We got to get them to the foster families. So for me, Christmas was a difficult time. It was hard then to come home and have to try to say, oh, I got, these gifts for these children. Heck, that's what my kid wanted, and it's not in the store anymore, So
Oh,
it's
well.
just, it was very stressful. And so a lot of times people don't realize where those holidays can be stressful for almost anybody. I had children, it was a good time, I had a lot of family around, but all I wanted to do was go sit somewhere and be by myself and not have to wrap another gift. So, you know, but I think for us too, we need to pay attention to any of our family or friends who might be
Yeah.
in those situations and invite them to come spend time with you or go spend time with them. We're going tomorrow to pick up my 93-year-old aunt
Ooh,
from
bless
Glen
her.
Allen. And we're going to pick her up and bring her down here to stay with us for the week so she can have Thanksgiving and hang out because she doesn't have anybody else. So I think we have to kind of think about those folks too and be willing to kind of go out of the way and share with them and call them or just make sure they're okay because everybody's not okay during these thankful times.
A lot of people aren't okay, and you pass
Especially,
by them every day.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring that up, the part of it, because we're going to talk about some other things, but there are some people out there that if we are in a position to, like you said, visit them, people in lesson homes, if you have that opportunity, you have different groups to go around there and sing to them. You just have to think about those people that don't have anybody around. And while we're busy trying to take care of our lives, sometimes we have to think about those family members like that. So just wanted to bring that up. And one other thing, a lot of people have gone through something I went through, and like a divorce, and you can showing something about Facebook. But anyway, that can be a stressful thing when the holidays come up, especially if it's fresh. If it just happened. So those are the times too you should seek someone like you said, Sherry, that's a good friend of yours, and make sure you don't sit in that. depressed state or wondering what happened. Things happen in life, but you just can't let that consume you, especially at this time of the year, because it's hard at this time of the year to kind of come out of something like that when everybody around you is happy and joyful.
Right.
It makes you feel even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So before we go, now we got that part out the way. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you all remember any of those times when we were in high school, like you're leading up to the holidays coming up and you in school. I kind of remembered those assemblies that we had when the choir would sing all those Christmas hymns. The
Songs
Overton boys, which people thought I was the only Overton that couldn't sing.
and sing.
Uh, so I used to just claim them sometime until they'd say, "Well, hit a note for me." I said, "Well, I'm late for class.
Of course,
Wow.
got a cold.
I got a cold." But
They can really
yeah,
sing too.
yeah, but those times, were kind of joyous. Then, you waited to be off all that time. And one of the craziest things I used to do, how the teachers would give you an assignment. It wasn't due until you got back in the next year. And I wait a few days before we going back.
Of
And
course
and
you
Sherry, I know you probably did your assignment the next day.
And no, I didn't.
The
I
next day
didn't.
you got out of school.
No, I'm a bit of a procrastinator. I like to say that I do my best work when I'm under pressure. So I probably did the same thing you were doing, James.
I concur.
I tried that one time with my parents. I like to be under pressure. They said, "Pressure, hell, you better get in there and do that."
Oh,
But
yes.
but Sherry, how did you? I mean, because we had the school thing and being around your friends, and then it was family. These uncles came around. My parents had so many friends that would bring me stuff. You know,
Mm,
everybody was uncle back then. Even your parents'
right.
friends, everybody was uncle, even if they weren't uncle. So you had all these uncles that would come around. But it was the school days. We of course we still had the fish sticks on Friday. That didn't change.
Oh
Friday did
yeah.
not change. Did not change.
Not for the
But
holidays.
Never.
it was a little different with my family because most of my actual relatives did not live in this area. So our family gathering was pretty much just our family. I only had one other adult cousin who lived in the area, and his family was Jehovah's Witness. So they didn't
Oh, okay.
celebrate those kinds of things. But that one
Mhm.
cousin, he would come by, and he was more like an uncle. And he would always come by, I remember, and bring us a bag of apples or some fruit or something like that. Not a real gift, what he considered a gift. But our family Christmases were mainly just with our family members because we did not have relatives in the area. Our relatives, closest ones, were in Charles City County, which is like between Williamsburg and Richmond, and then everybody else for us was in New York. So
Hmm.
every now and then we would have a fun time where our relatives would come down, or we would go to New York sometimes, or Charles City, or whatever. So it wasn't we didn't have a real big family here when I was in high school. So, but I enjoyed our high school. I mean, we were anticipating all of the holidays. I mean, it was hard to get any work done the few
Yeah,
days
that
before
week before
few days
you
before
weren't even
Thanksgiving.
paying attention.
It was just hard. It was hard to do it. So
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
It's
And
so
and you
different.
mentioned apples before you mentioned. I have to say this has nothing to do with this, but you mentioned apples. Can you all imagine or realize what we used to bob for apples? You know what that is?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Well,
we would do it at church.
25 people stick their mouth in a bucket of
Trying to
water and try
grab
to
an
grab
apple.
an apple. We didn't
We
think that
didn't
was gross.
It was no difference from drinking out of the water hose.
That's right.
I guess you're right. That's probably why we didn't care about it. But at this point, think about it now. Would you do that now? No.
No. Oh, not at
Anyway,
all.
I
Absolutely.
digress. But you were saying something, Shona. That stuff comes across my mind these days. I have to bring it up, or
You got to
it's
say it
gone
right then.
forever.
That's right. That's right.
I was simply saying things are so very different now. I know for my family, man, it was a lot just preparing for the holidays. We always had a live Christmas tree, so we always looked forward to that. We'd go and we'd get the tree after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving was really the kickoff for the whole
Mm.
holiday season. Now they start advertising for Christmas. I want to say right
In
before
September.
Halloween.
Right. Yeah. Before Halloween.
That is
Before Halloween. It should
ludicrous.
be illegal. It should be illegal. That's what should be illegal.
I'm telling you.
My
Um,
grandson is upset with me because we went to his house today after Grandparents' Day. And I said, "Oh, I see you got your Thanksgiving tree up." Grandma, it's not a Thanksgiving. I said, "It's a Thanksgiving tree. Nothing is a Christmas tree until after Thanksgiving." He's so upset with me. But really,
Yeah, because we never would put it up that early. It probably
no.
would be the week of,
yes.
because everything would be kind of hectic that time, and it was kind of fun going
But
out
my
in downtown and or Tower Mall, especially as high school seniors when you probably could drive or you could stay out a little longer. Hanging out at the mall during the holidays
Mhm.
was kind of fun, as long as you didn't break that curfew.
Right, right. I think I remember
I
one
don't know.
time in high school,
Excuse me.
down to where was it where they had the Santa Claus in the window? Woolworths, or it was someplace downtown Portsmouth. Wherever it was, I remember me, probably me, Doris, and Denise, a few of us went down there, and we went to actually go sit on Santa Claus' lap and tell him what we wanted for Christmas, because we knew he had to stay in character because there were little kids around. And that was the funniest thing for us, having this man have to listen to what we wanted for Christmas, and he just had to play along. There was nothing he could do because of other little teeny kids in the line.
And
So
y'all were high
that was a fun
schoolers.
thing to do. We were in
Now
high
they
school. Yeah, we got in the
now
line.
somebody would probably get hauled off to jail if you sat in Santa
Oh
Claus's
yeah,
lap as a teenager. Okay,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
things are so different now. So different.
So different. So different.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it was
but
always really, really family oriented the whole
Mm.
season. The whole season, and the all of the things leading up to Christmas after Thanksgiving, all of the different programs at school.
mm,
And you mentioned the Overtons, the family affair. I
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of singing on the same program with them. I don't know if
Oh,
you remember it, James, but I sang at our senior reception, and they sang also. I sang the Impossible Dream.
yeah. You mentioned that, and I wish they had cameras like they have now, so we could go back and
no.
look at that. I'm
But you know
sure
what?
if I really think hard, I can remember that. But I,
But when you said about having cameras,
yeah.
people were talking about things that they were thankful for. And my daughter wrote somewhere, she said she was thankful that they did not have ring cameras and whatever other kind of cameras in the house when she was in high school. I was like, oh, okay, let me think about that now. But that's something for us to be thankful to as well. That the
Yeah.
cameras are not all.
Absolutely. I
I
mean,
thought
there are pros and cons because
there are.
you
Yeah.
could
Some
have
things you wish you could have
memories.
captured. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that, like I said, I'm a great grandmother. Just a few months ago, 4th of July, we all went to Florida, and I have a video of myself in a pool with a bathing suit on, playing volleyball with my great grandchildren.
Mm,
I'm so proud of that, and I'm really grateful that that will be around for them to see long after I'm gone.
mhm.
Yeah. Good thing. Yeah, because it had been a camera that day at Nag's Head when they threw you in the water. That wouldn't have been. That would.
Yeah.
And Sherry, I remember uh Doris getting thrown in the water too.
Mhm, mhm.
They
I
The
I have
guys
some
went for all the
still
smart girls.
pictures.
We had
I
to.
had some still pictures, but not. Of course, we didn't have video of that. So
Oh, you had some still pictures of that?
I have.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
nice.
I can't remember exactly, but I might have to go back and pull them out. But yeah, I
Yeah,
had
you
one.
used to be there. That was
Mm-hmm.
not a good day for me
Mm.
because I thought it was going to be the end of my life when they threw me in that water.
Yeah, I had an experience like that when I was in college, when they called it breakout some night, and everybody would go to this hotel pool, and that's what they would do. They would just throw folks in water, and
Yeah,
I could not swim, and I was terrified of water, and I felt really bad. But this young man that was standing there, he was a football player from Hampton. I did not know him at the time, but I was just said, "I'm so sorry, please excuse me," and I just grabbed him and held on so nobody could pull me into the water, and then I apologized again afterwards and went on about my way. But yeah, that's a terrifying thing.
It's
yeah. I
very
mean, and
terrifying.
that was kind of cool because we didn't even think about if the girls could.
They could
I don't
swim,
know if I
right?
did it. I don't know. I can't remember if I picked up doing about in the water. I can't remember. I go blank when I think about
I
that.
think
But
right. I'm sure you
it's
do.
wonder we didn't think about if the girls could even swim, and it's not throwing them in the pool. We were throwing them in the ocean
In
Ocean.
the ocean. I
And
could
I
not
think
with back
I could not
currents and
swim.
waves.
I was on a blanket eating a tuna sandwich.
and this is
They
traumatic
came and
show.
picked me up by my arms and legs, face up, and went and threw me into the ocean. There was tuna coming out of my mouth in the water. I couldn't turn over. I can't swim. James Harrington pulled me out of that water. Not only that, I didn't even have on a bathing suit. I had on this red
Oh,
jumpsuit that I made in home ec that they made me model for the rest of the home economics classes because I did a pretty good job on it. Man, I was so done. I was so
Salt
done.
oh
water,
man,
salt water, all in your
Just
outfit.
choking on tuna and salt water.
yeah, yeah. That was just a thing. I think it was something that was passed
But
down, and all the guys knew it, and they said,
that's
"Well, whoever we
and I
get,"
think
and
the picture I have, and I'm gonna have to go back and find it. I'll try to do it maybe for your next podcast. But the picture I have is of some guy taking somebody. It's one of the girls that has they're taking them somewhere. I don't know how I got that picture. I'm gonna have to go and look for it and see exactly who it was, and we can find out. Yeah. But you know what? When you think back on it, those are times that we can be grateful for.
yeah,
We had some great experiences in high school, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate being able to go to Norcom and to have the friends that I had there and the experiences that I had there. I just think we had one of the best experiences ever that prepared us for what was to come.
yeah.
So I'm grateful for our teachers there, the ones who were hard
The
on us,
teachers,
which
yeah.
is most of them. but
That's true.
yeah, but it was really, when you look back now, it was really a great time, and I think we all benefited from being there and being together, even as friends.
And there
I think
were
that's why some people will see former Greyhounds and say, "Oh, look, they so arrogant. They think Norcom was the best thing since sliced bread." It actually was.
I'll tell you what, there were
No,
no mass shootings. Zero.
no,
None.
Nothing,
None.
nothing.
and no really big fights. I mean, they would the next day, whoever had the fight would be, together.
The
So it
biggest,
was,
actually, the biggest incident or fight or whatever you want to call it was when we were fighting to keep Norcom open. And that was
yeah,
fight with police officers and their dogs, sicking them on people. And, it was a difficult time. But, I even appreciate that, having that experience,
Yeah.
because it just,
yeah.
it
I
just
mean, that was an experience too because we were seeing all that on TV somewhere else. And I
right.
think if it had have been something that we never have seen, it would have been really, really bad. But not saying it wasn't bad, but I'm just saying we saw it every night on the 6 o'clock news happening down in Mississippi and Alabama and all those places, the dogs and everything. And then when it happened to us, well, one thing we knew to run.
Right.
Well, yeah, if they're dogs after us,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we knew that from the neighborhood because no dogs had leashes back then in the neighborhood. You
Right.
just
Well, look.
knew where that bad dog was, and you said, "I'm not going on that side of the street." But
So now, again, speaking of that, this past Saturday, I had my three grandchildren with me, and my 5-year-old granddaughter is terrified of dogs. I know that, but no, most times people now have to keep them on the leash.
mhm.
So you can imagine my surprise when I'm at the door putting on my shoes to go outside with them. I hear my granddaughter screaming. I mean, she is screaming and she's running from this little teeny dog. This dog is chasing her. I mean, it's a lot of kids out playing, but she's the only one running. So the dog wants to play with her and he is chasing her and she is screaming. And I'm trying to get her to run toward me to come in the house. And she runs around the car and the dog is still after her. And then at some point, the dog was in front of her. I'm like, Gracie, the dog is in front of you. He's not chasing you, chasing him now. And I
She
mean,
was traumatized.
she was traumatized. But I have
Yeah.
to say, it was so funny. But anyway, I got the door and I'm just saying, run this way. So she ran in the house and then I shut the door on the little dog. And the kids came and got the dog and took it away. We're talking about filming things now. I went back the other day and I said, let me see if it caught it on the Ring camera. And it did.
Oh
So
wow.
now, anytime I want a little chuckle, I go back and watch this video of my poor little baby just running around after this tiny, tiny
Yeah,
dog.
it
Yeah,
was serious for
so
her.
she can see
Oh,
that
she was terrible,
when
baby.
she's 16.
I felt so bad for her. But her aunt, my daughter, is also or used to be terrified of dogs like that. So we sat down and told her some stories and she calmed down pretty quickly. But you can believe she looks out every time she goes out the door now to see if that dog is out there.
Grandma saved her.
Grandma
Yeah.
saved her. I shut that door right on that dog's face.
Now, did you have to go get oxygen after you?
No, 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 no. I wasn't running. She was
Uh,
running. I was just at the door. I just opened the door and shut it.
What are you trying to say, James?
I know, I'm just my granddaughter was here and we took her to the Children's Museum and she's 7 and so a 7-year-old child has nothing but energy and attention span. So she was going from when I thought she was at one thing, I said okay, she'll be there for a while. As soon as I sat down, she went to another one. So just be in shape when you deal with your grandkids. I'm sure you must be in shape because you
Easier
you
said
have them
than
a lot.
done.
And I think Shona's the one who's in shape. She's able to do all of that. I'm struggling a little bit, but it does keep me moving. It keeps me moving. So,
Well, it's probably a good thing. It keeps you
yeah.
doing something. Even though you don't run behind them, you walk behind them. So that's
As they
better
say,
than nothing,
as
right?
they say to me, they always, Grandma, you always the rotten egg. I said, that's what I want to be, the last one getting there. Don't worry about it. So, the last one who gets there is the rotten egg, and that's gonna be Grandma. So, but it's okay.
Well, I feel
Yeah,
like
and
it's
sure,
no
thanks
longer
for
my
telling us about Doris, so more
Oh yeah,
people can watch this and
job.
give their prayer. And as we talk about class members that are no longer here, that's a sad thing. Especially if we really knew them. But I guess we can be grateful and thankful for the opportunity of the time we had with them.
right.
Because I can think of some people that are no longer here, and I remember having some really good times with them.
Hmm.
And so sometimes you have to look at things in a different light
That's right.
in order to, because I believe everything happens for a reason.
When it happens.
Shona, that video we did talking about your experiences with domestic violence that turned into this, and
Yeah.
you know, had no idea that you were going through that, and you had people that were there for you, but of course, like you said, it wasn't big enough. You had to get out, get out of Dodge. But that turned out to be probably a good move for you career wise, and everything
For
else.
sure. I couldn't imagine it any other way
Right.
because it happened like it happened.
So
it may
I
be who
mean,
I am. So
yeah, I mean, that what you end up doing there, who knows if you would have been able to do that here?
right,
Even if you didn't go through what you had to do. Sometimes God takes us through some things that we wonder why, but it's a reason for that. Everybody has to go through a different trial or tribulation that fits them in order for them to wake up. And some people don't see it, and that's unfortunate. But sometimes, most of the time, you see it or you get it, whatever He was put there in front of you, and well, now my purpose is this, you know,
yes.
since
I
I've gone
just
through that.
I just feel blessed that I was able to make it out, and hopefully it's an inspiration for someone else who may be going through something similar. There is a way out.
Yeah, definitely, because some people going through that think they're the only people going through it, and to hear it from someone else. And sometimes these platforms, uh, people end up discussing more than they thought.
Oh, that
Excuse
is
me,
for sure,
more than they thought.
for sure. The
And
book just opens wide.
Yeah,
I want to say one thing that I've realized that family is so important, and it's so important for our children or our grandchildren, especially, to see and get to know their family and understand their family. So a lot of times there are some things you can't put aside. So when you're in a situation with domestic violence, um, that's you just have to cut that. You cannot allow that kind of thing. But in my situation, because I'm in a blended, I have a blended family, and it's so funny. I had went to one of my grandsons' his grandparents' day last year, I think it was, and he was counting his grandparents, which is usually going to be two. And I think by the time he got finished counting, he had seven grandparents
Uh,
because
he is so blessed.
he has seven grandparents. And the same thing with my grandchildren. And everybody has their own name, and everybody, we have a pawpaw, G
mm,
Pop, Grandma Sherry, Grandma Grace, a couple other grandmas around, and so a lot of times for us we have found a way to have everybody together and to um, all just celebrate our holidays together, and we just
That's
have to do
beautiful.
that. And I had somebody look at some family pictures we were doing, and they were like, wait a minute, he's in your picture? I'm like, yeah, in the picture he's not in, he took it for us so we could all be in the same picture. So
mhm.
we have my ex, my husband's ex, and we all get together and we just celebrate everything together. And
That's
our
beautiful.
grandchildren, that's just the way it is. It's very normal for them just
That's
to have
beautiful.
everybody. And so, that's another thing too. In these kind of seasons, you have to think about your grandchildren, think about your family, and just put stuff aside and just have a good time or attempt to. And again, reach out to those people who might be uh, tend to be a little bit more quiet or don't want to be involved. Just kind of reach out, make sure they're okay, and invite them. It can't hurt. So, but we have a great time. We have a
Yeah, I
great
think that's an important message to give. Although some situations might not be the best to bring everybody together, but in most cases, you have to it's a lot of blended families nowadays, and
time.
you have to sort of put that. I was fortunate, for us to be able to come together, ex and present, because our thinking we were focused on my daughter, and
Right, exactly.
she had nothing to do with anything, and she loved everybody, so why would we deny her the opportunity, especially to have all of us together at the same time,
Right. And when you
even
see
though
how
that doesn't
excited the
happen that
children
often.
are, when you see how excited the grandchildren are, when it's
Yeah,
everybody, it just makes it all worthwhile, and it
yeah,
makes
and
it.
sometimes it's not possible, but
Say that
it
again.
yeah,
And
sometimes
it's
it's really not possible, because of the situation. But whenever it is possible, if you think it can be possible, it should be something that should be done for those kids
Right.
because we
Absolutely.
never know what what kind of trauma a kid goes through. You know, sometimes they don't say, but you don't find out that they've gone through something at a young age until they are grown and they start acting out, or they a teenager and they acting out and you don't know why. It's because something that happened when they were young. It might not have been a physical abuse, but something they saw, something they wanted. You know, kids
Children
always want everything to be
know.
rosy and nice. Why
Yes.
can't y'all work it out? So they don't always understand.
Right.
That it's probably best. So the best way is to just come together when you can. You know,
Hmm.
and put up with it. If it's bad blood, just do it for for a second. You
But
know,
yeah,
or
but
if it's bad
again,
blood, try just
but
work
there
it
are going to
out.
be those cases again when you are in Shoma. You could probably say, a little bit more, but when you're in those kind of situations,
Bluetooth disconnected.
Children know. I mean, they can kind of feel the tension. They probably hear and see a whole lot more than what you realize that they see and
Absolutely.
hear. And
Absolutely.
you have to kind of protect them from that too. You
That's
have
right.
to show, they have to know that it's not right, it's not appropriate. And in those situations, you just can't, you can't come together. If you
Right,
can, you can.
right.
If you can't, you don't, because you have to think of their safety and their well-being first.
Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody, but in your situation, Shona,
It's
it was best to because they were seeing all of that.
mm-hmm.
So so that was a whole different dynamic there. They were seeing that in real
Absolutely.
time, so it was best to get away from that. Everybody.
And I just have to say that one of the worst feelings in the world to me is for your children to see you at your most vulnerable,
Mm,
because they're supposed to look up to you and to see you in a position of weakness, being dominated. It's horrible. You have to
yeah,
deal with that, um, in addition to, while trying to appear strong for them, and that's a difficult thing to do. But they feel and they know a lot more than most people would give them credit for,
right.
Mm-hmm.
and a lot they don't speak on because they're children, and that's what they do. A lot of it's just overwhelming for their little minds to even process. So they tune out. That's when they start acting out,
Mm-hmm.
because they're really trying to squash something that's foremost on their mind, that they don't is so horrific
You
to
can't
them
do
that they don't want to think about it. They want to put it in the subconscious. So they do other things, just anything,
Yeah.
not to think about those things.
Like I said earlier, they start acting out, and you'd be trying to figure out why is that. I remember my parents I used to say something to them. They said, "You remember that?" They thought I was too young to remember something, or or they might have said something, and I repeated it to them later. I mean, much later, and they didn't think I was remembered that or understood what they saying. And please,
They don't
and
miss
I
a
don't
beat.
even try to spell around my granddaughter.
it.
She corrects me at 7. So, granddaddy,
Yeah.
that spelling is wrong.
Yeah, and
But let me,
and Shona, that's again when you think again. That's when holidays become triggers for a lot of children in certain situations. What in the world?
No, you don't have that picture of me.
well, I mean, you showed it publicly. So,
Right?
I mean, I
Actually,
did
I'm
it.
gonna say I am very proud of my bathing suit picture. I was 60 years old.
Yes, yes, indeed. Okay,
60
that's
years
why you
old.
took it, and that's why it's publicly
That's
shown
exactly
on
why
Facebook.
I took
But I
it.
was looking for something to get your children and some of your grandchildren in there.
At the bottom,
And
those are
Right
my granddaughters and some of my great grandchildren.
there. Okay. All right.
My
see,
son,
that's who is the is that dad in the black and white picture?
that is my father.
Oh, okay.
That is
Mm.
James Carlton Choate. And my
Oh
younger
wow.
brother looks just like him. He died in his late 40s. So,
Mm.
as a matter of fact, he died when I sang that song at our senior reception. He wanted to be there to hear that so bad. He was there and he got sick during the reception and he had to step out. So, he
Had to
missed
leave.
the song.
Oh, that's
And he passed away just a few months later after I
Wow.
graduated.
mm.
Yep, that's my dad.
Yeah, and your mom.
And I'd
So
also like to say that I took those that photo shoot in the bathing suits also to lift my own spirits because I turned 60 on August 7th of that year, and they found my ex fiance dead the day before that 60th birthday. So it was like a blur for me. So I took those photos a couple months later, just for myself to
yeah,
live
so
my
I
own.
guess that falls into what we were saying. You know, sometimes things happen, and sometimes you have to look out for yourself, your own health, and do some things that make you uh, whole or happy. You know, you can't just sit in it forever because it can be something that could harm you. You know, down the road. So yeah, that's the sailor hat and everything. Okay, all right. Now, do you have one? I look for it. Do you have one when you turn 70?
I do not. That was just a couple of months ago.
Okay, well, we'll wait for that one. We'll wait next summer.
Wait for
And
that next.
those, of course, are my beautiful children in all the black there. I
Oh,
had to
let me
give them
put it
a
back.
shout out. Yes. At the top on the
Yeah,
left,
Okay.
those are my three children.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. That's my family. My mom at the bottom corner, she just passed away 2 years ago. She was 98. She was really trying to make it to 100. Yep. And my
well, I'm
three, that's me and my
98.
three
That's
brothers at the top. Those are all of my siblings.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice
And you
picture.
said all the ones older than you were Narcum grads, right? That's why you did not want to take a chance being
Man.
transferred to
Exactly.
Wilson your last year.
Exactly. And I didn't mention when we were talking about get the dogs being sicked on us and all of that. That was the first time that I had ever been suspended from school. I was a senior in high school,
Mhm.
but I was a rebel with a cause.
A rebel with a cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad let me boycott one day, and I thought I was going to at least get a week. Uh, he said, "You're a senior. You're getting out of here." He walked me back to school in front of all those people
I think
the
one of the
next
things
day.
I remember about boycotting was being actually in junior high school at Waters
Hmm.
And,
because there's my
Oh,
baby.
nice.
Yeah, this is one of my. You just pull all the pictures out. But in junior high school, we were going to walk out of school in solidarity with Norcom. And we're in junior high school and we are getting all ready and we had our time planned and we were going to walk out and we started out and they locked the doors and wouldn't let us.
Somebody told.
now that
There's
would be
always that one
illegal.
person.
Somebody told, and they locked the doors, and that was it. Our little balloon was just deflated,
Oh,
but we
that sound
tried
like that.
anyway. We
Sound like
tried.
that movie Lean on Me
I thought about it because now you
when they
can't
lock the
lock doors
doors.
again.
Oh,
There's my
nice.
baby. Look,
Yeah,
you
here
can
come
see
the judge.
there. There he is.
Wow. So your son
Mhm.
is a judge.
Yes, he is.
That
Just
is
as of
awesome.
that, it's been a year now. Last October. So the picture with us just a little while ago was at his investiture, where he was, did the oath and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. We're
It was a nice
sworn
part.
in.
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
is
that was great. And his journey, he got a chance. I think he started out in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and which all young lawyers should do, so they'll know the other side, especially if they're going to be a defense lawyer.
Well,
And then he
actually,
got a chance to work in the
before
office with
that,
his dad, which is great.
he was a clerk in the court before that. He was clerking for the judges. I think he
Oh, okay.
right after law school. So he did the clerk first, and then he was Commonwealth attorney. Then he went to with his dad. So he got a lot of experience, a lot of different experiences, really, really quickly. And who might that little girl be?
could that
That's
be
the little
Zuri?
7-year old, and that's
Mhm.
the her mother, Jamie. I remember when she was that age.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
now, she's grown and but she's still my baby and my other little baby there, Zuri.
story. Hmm.
And
Miss
this
Zuri.
this what he's the pictures I just showed, you talk about being thankful. You know, we can put these pictures and our children above any other thing as far as being thankful. We are so thankful to have our offspring here and you know, they're like legends of our family. I mean, legacies, not legends. We are the legends. They're legacies that you're glad to see so they could carry on. Uh,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of the things, James and Shona, I was thinking about when you let me know about this. There's so many things that we are thankful for, we can be thankful for, but then a lot of times it's just the little things that you can really be thankful for. First of all, just being able to have pictures. I'm really
yeah.
thankful for FaceTime. Well, most times
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thankful for it, but sometimes I get my grandkids on the phone and I feel like I'm babysitting them, on FaceTime. We've been on FaceTime for an hour or so, or if not
Yeah.
long. But
That's all they know. They don't know
right,
Technically,
anything
you
but
could do
FaceTime.
that. You could babysit on
yeah,
FaceTime.
do that.
Wow. I hadn't
But
even thought about that. Yeah.
one thing I was thinking just recently is one of the things I'm going to try to do is to thank those people who have done something for me or that I really appreciate, and try to do it in writing. And I'm going to show
Mhm.
you this real quickly. I got this in the mail a couple of days ago. It's one of these little push-up flower things. You just push it
Mhm.
up. And a friend of mine sent me this long note. You can't really see it, but it's a lot. She wrote a lot. And I was like, who is this? And I'm looking, and it's actually a lady that since I moved to this neighborhood, I've been going out with her to the polls. And we go out and we hand out the flyers when people are voting and this kind of thing. And we've been doing this probably for 20 years. And that's how I met her. And every year she works it out and she always calls me. And a lot of times it's last minute because she knows I told her I'm going to come whenever you call me. And so she sent me the other day, just as she was so happy that we came out successful with our, during the voting. And she sent this little flower. And I was just, it just made me so happy just to get this. It's just, I wasn't expecting it. And just for her to write a note saying, thanks for hanging out with me for all these years and that kind of thing. So one of the first people I thought about was my doctor she is a wonderful doctor. I just started going to her after my daughter started going to her. My daughter had a really difficult situation come up with her. She went into kidney failure during COVID. And once she got past it, she went on dialysis and then she was able to get off of dialysis, which is very unusual. And
Mm.
this woman became her doctor. And this lady has been phenomenal. I mean, so she and her husband started going to this doctor. And then she convinced me to go to the doctor. I convinced my husband to go. Then we convinced my daughter in law and my son. So now she is truly our family doctor. She's a doctor for all of us. And
Does she have an office in Atlanta?
she does not. But if anything ever
That's a
comes up
big
and
endorsement.
if you're here, she is actually a mile from my house. I've walked to her office before.
Okay.
But this lady is so accommodating and she just really takes care of our family for real. She did what she called a family checkup when we ran into her one time at Red Robin. And she just came over to the table, is everybody okay? And real family check. But and they're so diligent and so on time about everything. So, I decided after this, I'm going to sit down and write a note to her and just send it to her office because I realized how much this made me feel so good. Just to she was thinking about it. So my
Give
thing
her
now
a
is
shout out. What's her name?
her
Give
name
her a
is
shout out.
Jessica Brawley. Yeah,
Okay.
and she's in Chesapeake. Yeah,
Okay.
she's really a phenomenal doctor. So I think a lot of times we appreciate people like that and we're grateful, but we never tell them. We say it to other. I'm saying it to you all, but I haven't said it necessarily to her. So that's one of the things I'm going to try to do going forward is to just write a little note, stick something in the mail, do something just to let people know that I do appreciate them. And I appreciate what you all are doing. I enjoy
Yeah,
popping on here and watching you all sometimes,
Oh, okay.
so I enjoy that. So I appreciate that you have this going on and are
I'm
working
trying.
to keep
I'm
us
trying to
together.
be. I'm trying to be better at it. That's why I took this time to edify my podcast upline, Mr. James Overton. I do appreciate him so very much.
yeah. Thank
And
you. I appreciate you doing this, and Sherry, you can pop up anytime. Because every time I've asked you if you were available, you came on, and
Yeah, yeah.
and and,
I,
and I would I encourage anybody to go back and look at that colorization um,
um,
show we did. We talked frankly and honestly about
mm,
lighter hue, darker hue, and some of the things. And people thought that maybe doing, especially back then, someone of lighter hue might have had it easier, but Sherry shared some things that sometimes it wasn't that great.
I,
Some of the things you had to put up with were people assumptions people made just because
mm,
you were light,
mm,
and some of the things me and I talked about how we used to use names like Redbone, and
right, yeah.
y-
Which,
y- to
when I
have a red bone on you, which was unfair. I mean, but that was just the times, and I think that's why I want people to encourage people to go back and watch that. I think you'll pick up
just
something
for us
from the
James,
people,
honesty of the people that were on that show that day.
are you able to maybe put a link in the comments? Can you do that to that
I
show?
can I can do that. I have to.
Maybe
I can do that
afterward, even.
afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
that would be good. That way,
and
they.
your show as well. Yours still needs to be soon. Yours is timeless, just like the coloration show. Yours is timeless, and I
Mm,
think people seeing yours, I think people will still be helped by
it
seeing,
it did have
because
a lot of momentum at the time. I was actually surprised. I kept watching the numbers grow, and I promised
go up. Yeah,
myself if they ever went over 500 that I would write a book because so many people have mentioned to me, well, are you going to write a book? Have you written a book? When is the book coming out? I'm
when
like,
is
I
it
don't know.
and then it'll be a movie on Tubi.
coming? You
You
never
never
know.
know. I'm
You
on the podcast.
Yes,
I
you
never
never
saw
know
that
what
coming.
happens. But yeah, and Sherry, you're so right. Being thankful of the little things, and you're right. And people need to know. Sometimes we take for granted or assume that people know that how much we appreciate them.
The
But
best feeling in the world
sometimes they
to
have
feel
to hear it, just
appreciated.
like you like. I mean, you might not think about it, but then when somebody comes up to you and say, "Hey, I really
say,
appreciate what you did,"
yeah,
uh,
it's- and
I was out somewhere and somebody walked up and said, "Are you James?" I had no idea who they were, and they said, "Oh, I watch Coffee Talk," and you thinking not many people. You
watch.
don't. I don't
Mhm.
see a lot of big numbers, but to me, if you have a few people that might watch it and they get something out of one of those shows, because some of them are really serious. Just like Shona, we've had breast cancer, we've
Yeah.
had the domestic violence thing, and then we've also had fun.
Yeah.
with talking about our Norcom days and poking at each other, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all good, and just being thankful for being able to have a platform, you know,
Yes.
uh,
And Jane,
regardless.
one of the things I was really happy the time you did the podcast regarding Alzheimer's and what
Oh
was going on.
yeah,
You remember right after that, I called you on the phone
yeah, yeah.
because the doctor you had on, and I think the person too who was doing the trial, and I
Ray
had
Smith's
gotten
sister.
involved.
It was Ray
And
Smith's sister.
I saw that.
I didn't realize that was his sister.
Yeah,
And I was inspired by hearing her story to actually apply to be in the trials. And I was
yeah.
not able to because I didn't have the correct markers, blood markers, or whatever.
Right.
But I did go on to join a later trial. And I've
Mm.
recently, and it's just every year doing a. Sometimes I feel kind of funny. I said because looking to see how much I'm forgetting every year, but it just goes on from every year taking a test and doing blood work and doing whatever. And just
I'd like to
recently
do that.
they added having a PET scan of your brain. And then they
Oh, okay.
ask you, do you want to have your results? I'm like, yes, I want to know my results. And so I've done that. And I also then I'm privy to like any kind of information they get, like the upcoming um, medications that might be
Mhm.
approved now for Alzheimer's. They'll do some studies or they'll have things come online that you can watch different things that the doctors are doing that they let me know about and I'm able to take advantage of. And I realize it's not going to necessarily be anything that would help me at this point in my life, but just knowing that I get so much
Which is a
information
blessing.
that I can pass on to my children and to my
Right.
grandchildren and on to great grands and to any other person, it may be helpful to somebody else going forward.
Yeah,
But
How
especially
can one
because, like anything else, it could be hereditary, and
right.
that's
And
why
yeah,
the trials are so important. And what has come out of the trials so far is some medications that will slow it down. They haven't got to a cure yet, and you learn so much doing these shows. I mean, it's just so many different forms of dementia.
right.
You know,
And when
there's
I
Mhm.
like
was doing
four
the
hundred and something.
doing
Mm.
the
So
initial application to be in the trial, you get the advantage of having other things done. So I was able to get a PET scan done. I was also able to get my genetic testing done, which
Mm.
tells you whether or not you're inclined to have Alzheimer's, that you have a higher risk level, or that you have a very low risk level, or that you have a neutral risk level. And I was very fortunate to find out. And again, they ask you, do you want to know? I'm like, who wouldn't want to know?
That's
But I
right.
guess some
yeah,
people don't want to know. But with
yeah,
mine, I was really happy to learn that I fell into that neutral zone because my father had Alzheimer's and most of his siblings did, have
Mm.
Alzheimer's. But I was able to find out that that gene was not passed down to me from
mm.
him, which is, it doesn't mean that you won't get Alzheimer's, but it
Yeah.
just
You
means
still could get another form
right,
of
I'm
it.
kind
You
of
know.
neutral as far as that goes. And I know then I did not pass it to my children. But that's another thing to be grateful for, to
Yeah,
Yes.
me.
I'm so grateful for that, and having
It's just
those shows like that, and then people that come on there get so personal, like Ray, and sister talked about what they went through with their dad, you know,
Mm.
mhm,
and it was at
mhm.
a point like you still want to take care of them, but after a while, that's not
Sometimes it's
Overwhelming.
the
not
same dad. That's not your, it's your dad physically, but
They're gone.
mentally, that's not your dad because
Yeah, they're
he's
gone.
acting out. He doesn't know you,
no.
and sometimes they get violent, and it's
It's yeah.
really
It's and
So,
so
so
it's helpful to learn about those kinds of things.
how
yeah,
can one become involved in one of those trials?
Well, actually, what you have to do is just look to see if there are any in your area.
Gotcha.
You can probably just go online. And at some point, I think we did something where they started notifying me of different trials that were going on. But the way I got involved that time was I guess it was Ray's sister was on the news just talking about being a part of this
yeah,
trial, and they
Hmm.
indicated that she was the only African American that
yeah,
had, you know, even applied to be in the trial because we don't have a great history with doing medical trials,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um, and because I saw her on television, I decided to do that, which got me. Of course, I couldn't do again the first trial, and I was almost happy I couldn't because that meant I didn't have the Alzheimer's markers in my blood that they were looking for to test.
Mhm.
But it
Okay.
did allow me to get into the second trial. And again, it gives you great information and it's going to help somebody. At that time, uh, they were saying that they were looking to have drugs available by 2028, which is in 3 years. When I first applied, it was 5 years. So that
Yeah.
was what, 2023, I guess. So, it's just something you can probably just go online and look up trials in your area
Yeah.
to see what's going
We'll have her on here,
Good to know.
Shona. Um,
Absolutely.
she and the doctor that she deals with, he's
on.
always ready to come on and talk about it.
Yeah. And he
So
was
next
at when
time
we had the
That's awesome.
when I got
they've been
my
on twice.
when I got my results from the genetic testing, that was the doctor who had to call me. So they have the doctor actually call you and explain what your results are if you want to know. So
That's great.
yeah, it's a good experience. So anyway,
Yeah,
um,
we're thankful for being here and being able to reach this age, but you also have to be aware of things that can happen when you reach this age. So you
You have
just
to
have
be
to,
vigilant and you have to be
yeah,
an advocate for your
right.
own health.
yourself. You have to be an advocate for yourself because sometimes they'll rush. I remember I used to take my mother to this doctor, and it was like a cattle call in there. I would take her in
Mhm.
there, and everybody liked this doctor, so it'd be packed in there. And my mother would go back there and come out so quick. I said, "Wait a minute, you know, they couldn't have done just a regular routine checkup that fast." So I started going back there with her, and found out that he was just running them through.
Chit chat and keep on moving.
Yeah, and I knew something was wrong with her, and I switched doctors. And as soon as I switched the doctor, they put her right in the hospital.
Oh my
She had
goodness.
been uh, in the stages of cancer for a while,
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
goodness.
and I wish I had switched her sooner. But everybody swore by this doctor,
Yeah.
and it must have been something he wasn't doing right because then he lost his practice.
Mhm.
He
After a
should
while,
have.
because I guess we weren't the only one to complain.
Yes.
But because
And
when
that's how
your
you
parents go, they just go and they feel good about it, and they come out and say everything's all right. They're not going to. So this this is for the people that you're still caring for your parents. Go back there,
go with
go
them.
back there with them to the doctor
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they'll come out and tell you if anything or everything's fine.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And
And
that's
not
the
intentionally.
That's why we do this show. This is why we do these shows.
this is supposed to be. This is gratitude and giving thanks. And I think even though we're going what might seem to be off topic, it
Yeah,
really
we
isn't
always do it, don't we, Shona?
We're never off topic. It's our take on it.
because it's always
Hello.
we're talking about gratitude. You know, we're grateful to be able to go with our parents to the doctor.
Yeah,
We're grateful for doctors who do what they're supposed to do, which is why I'm going to write something to my doctor and let her know.
yeah,
Um, and we just there's so many things. There's so many. I'm grateful that I was able to get into the trials to learn more about Alzheimer's. Although, as you know, I saw it firsthand with my father and my cousin. It used to be it's very devastating, but there are sometimes when somebody told me they said old people are fun. And so with my father, when things would come up, we would just have to sit and laugh about them because it would be, it's you're going to either laugh or cry. So
yeah.
you pick
I know,
what
I
you
know what you're saying.
decide to do. But I was talking to another friend yesterday. I've had a couple of people to just call out of the blue. I'm so thankful because I'm usually the one making the calls to them. And they called me recently. And the one thing we were talking about was two of my friends, and we talked about when we learned we were old. So now think about that. My husband and I, when we retired, we would say we're gonna go up to Hardee's and eat with the old people, and that's what We were always going the hardest because they got the group over in the corner. They're
But
playing
you
bingo.
were going
And
too.
so we would keep saying, we said, hey, why don't we go this morning and go eat with the old people? He said, okay, let's go. And we kept on, we're going to go eat with the old people. And then one day I said, you know what? I think we might be the old people.
Hello.
Old people. And it's like, I told him, I like, it kind of sneaks up on you that, oh my
Yeah, it
goodness. And
It
does.
really does.
both of my
Because
friends were telling me about when they realized that they were old people. And I mean, the stories were hilarious. It was just hilarious. And you think about it. When did you realize that you were the old person? So,
when you have more than one doctor, when you were younger, you just had one primary doctor. But as you get older, you got a
right,
doctor for just about everything: foot,
everything, podiatrist,
ears. I mean, everything. And let
chiropractor.
me say this to men: don't shy away from having a female primary. I've had two,
Mhm.
and the reason I've had them because they were recommended to me, and other doctors I tried to get in for primary, they weren't taking any more patients. So, but I found this latest doctor I have very compassionate. It's like the old school doctors will call you at home,
Mhm.
for
Wow.
certain things, and I didn't see that with some of the other male doctors because they're busy. I'm not blaming them,
You don't
but
get
they're
them
busy,
these
and
days.
or what their nurse will call you, but to have the actual doctor call you
Yeah,
to
and
say
that's
That's
the doctor
major.
that I had
something
them.
about your blood work, or I'm going to change this medicine, or just to say how you doing, how you feeling. I look forward to seeing you next visit, and I hope she stays that way. She's kind of young, and that might be one of the reasons. But uh,
I
you
think
know,
I think when doctors start out that way, they keep that up. Because the doctor that
yeah,
we have now, that's what she does. She has called my daughter and her husband on a Saturday night when she got test results. She's called us on a Sunday. And so
Mm,
she is very just on top of things. But in speaking about doctors, I'm going to give you all an idea. This is what my husband and I did. We started it last year because we realized that when you get old, what you're doing most of the time is
no,
going to
it's
the
it's not old, it's older.
when you get older, you
Yeah,
tend to have a
stop
lot of
using that
doctor's
term,
appointments.
older.
Yeah, it don't really matter. But I will use that. But we got to a point last year when we had a month and it looked like we had no doctor's appointments. And I told my husband, I said, let's plan a no doctor's month. So last year, I think it was in the month of March, what happened to be my birthday month, we scheduled no doctor's appointments. It kind of started out that we just didn't have any. And then we went to one doctor in like February or January, whoever, and they said, well, we need to schedule you for March 28th. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't schedule an appointment in March. That's our new doctor month. And they were like, oh, okay. So can you come in April? And we said, okay. So we made it in April. So for the whole month of March, we had no doctor's appointments.
that's awesome.
So, and you can kind
Never
of work
thought
it out
about
that
that.
way. You had to kind of, tweak a few things. And I think this month, December is looking pretty good for us. So no, it's not. No, I just scheduled him a therapy appointment, so that's okay. But anyway, maybe I'll go to January, and we're going to do them either before that month or after. We're going to find 1 month when we do not go to the doctor for a whole month. So think about it. It was a wonderful thing
Yeah,
last year.
never
So
thought about that because like you said, after a while, we have a lot of different doctors, and each month you're going to see somebody.
See
You know,
somebody.
somebody for something. So yeah, you can do that.
You
If
can
it's
do
not
it.
something that's needs serious attention, every month, you can do that because
So
um,
yeah, we enjoyed our last year. We enjoyed March. We went to no doctor.
well,
We went out, ate
now
all the
you don't
good stuff.
spurge, do you? You don't go
Of
off your
course,
diet or eat stuff you're not
mhm.
supposed to eat. And
Not
that's
too
not the
much.
purpose of that month
That's
either,
not
is
the purpose. The purpose is
it?
to
Okay,
not go to the doctor. That's
okay.
what it is. So you have to be healthy. You have to do what you're supposed to do. You have to stay on track so you don't have any
Or you won't
reason.
be able to do that.
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm blessed to say I don't go to a doctor every month, but for me, I think when I realized that I am older, James,
Yes.
is when, for me, I feel like being older is more a state of mind than your physical body. And when I
It's a little
realized that
physical too.
it is a little physical too, and it's different for different people. But
Yeah.
when I realized that my tolerance level for some of the behavior, how you're being spoken to, how sensitive you become to being disrespected by people who are younger. You know, they say things and do things that they just should not do. We would never have treated our elders that way. And today, things are so different now. So I find myself, I went back to work. I find myself tuning out a lot of things going on around me because I don't want to be drawn into a situation where, um, you know, somebody might get their feelings hurt. So I'm just going to leave that right there.
Oh, okay.
And plus, you don't want to go to jail in your older years.
No, that's not something you want to do at this point. You know, it's crazy to see somebody in the 70s going to jail.
Hey, man, oh man,
Yeah.
I could only have seen myself going to jail actually, well, twice. I was willing to go. I just knew somebody was going to be bringing, putting money on my books because, I'm going to jail today. Twice in my life, I'm going to jail today, but God saved me as he always does.
As he
And for
always
that,
does.
you can be thankful.
Yeah.
And I am thankful, very grateful for that.
All right, ladies. Well, thanks a lot. We talked about a lot of different things, and I appreciate it. And Sherry, we look forward to you coming back because I know you have opinions on a lot of different other things that we can discuss when we have certain topics.
Well,
And
I would
one of
be
our
happy
goals is
to do
to have classmates up here from 72, and we've had a few. Ray has been up here, and who else? Well, Ray's the only one, right?
Yeah.
Had
We've
Huddy
had
Williams,
people,
but he
but
came out in 73.
he's still a classmate.
Yeah,
She's
it's
from
close enough.
Norfolk.
that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And we had my cousin Tonette.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Tonette
Mhm.
was up here. Yeah,
Yes.
so we appreciate it. And thanks again.
Okay. Well, thanks for
Uh,
having me.
your busy schedule with the grandkids.
Telling you.
It's been a pleasure, lovely lady.
Well, thank you so much, and I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed both of you. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
and James, hope to see you at the next breakfast or luncheon that's coming up. So,
Yeah, yeah, we
oh,
had one last Saturday, Shona, and I don't know. Let's see who was there. That Joan Sawyer. Anybody
Mm,
remember her?
hmm.
Joan Sawyer, and who else was there? Oh, Craig Jones,
okay,
and the other regulars: George Swamp, Matt Davis, and myself. So
okay.
each time we get new people. So we're
Oh,
gonna
that's
try lunch next time, if that's okay. We might be to get more people because we need a bigger place if we have a lot of people that commit. Most of the breakfast places are kind of small, and
mm,
but we're gonna keep on pushing
that's
because
a
you know.
blessing.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So,
Take
All
care,
right.
everybody, and thanks everybody for watching. And make sure you
Yes. And
subscribe, and
yes.
comment and share this
Yeah,
show.
if you care.
Yeah, looks like for some reason we lost Facebook, but I can still share it to Facebook after the show is over. Anyway, all right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you
Very
all
next
right.
good.
Have
time.
a great Thanksgiving.
All
You
right.
too.
Happy
Everybody.
Thanksgiving.